What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. Anthony here, and in today's video I wanted to talk about why I just may be skipping the iPhone 13. Now, for transparency's sake, I will say that I am primarily an Android user. In fact, right now I am currently rocking a Pixel 4 XL, waiting on the Pixel 6. But even with that being said, I want to get into the nitty-gritty of why I just might be skipping the iPhone 13 this year and why you may want to do so as well. Don't get me wrong, I really do enjoy my experience on the iPhone, but I want to talk about the features of iPhone 13 that really make it difficult to upgrade from my iPhone 10, which is about 3 or 4 years old now. Now, by the time you're watching this video, most people are probably receiving their iPhones if they haven't received them already. And last week when Apple did their keynote, I will say this is probably the first keynote that I haven't actually gone back and watched 100%, mainly because it wasn't that interesting. So this is not meant to bash Apple or bash iPhone or anything like that. It's just the fact that the iPhone 13 is more of an incremental update, which really probably should have been called the iPhone 12s. But there's not really too much here that's new besides the cameras. And I'm not saying that Apple should have gone with a foldable phone this year, especially if it's not ready. I know one thing that Apple does very, very well is they do wait for existing technology to mature, and then they put it out in the best possible form that they can. But before we get into all the nitty gritty and talk about that, let's just kind of go down the spec. So if you go to Apple's website and you scroll through pretty much some of the specs or some of the key features of the iPhone 13, they're going to be things that maybe your average consumer may be concerned about. But I am in a little bit of a different space than probably your average consumer because I am on my second DSLR camera and I'm still figuring that out. But I love the features that I'm able to get out of this camera. Now, if I could have those within my phone as well, then that's also really, really beneficial. But I don't know if the average consumer is going to take advantage of things like rack focusing. Even though cinematic mode looks really, really cool, I don't know if those things are necessarily important to the average person that's buying an iPhone. In fact, if you buy an iPhone, most likely you're buying it for the ecosystem and just how well Apple does things when it comes to the iPhone. I know a huge part for me that makes it difficult to switch away and just use exclusively Android is iMessage, AirPods Pro, also Apple Watch. But outside of those things, I don't feel like the camera is really what draws me to an iPhone. All right, so the next thing that they talk about is the durability. It's not much to say there. If you have an iPhone, I'm sure you've cracked a screen numerous times, but who doesn't want a more durable phone? And then they talk about the chip. Now, I think this is interesting because every year Apple puts out a faster chip that's a little bit more efficient. I do feel like this is probably one of the other advantages that Apple has over the Android space. Google is looking to fix that with their Pixel 6, but because Apple developed theirs, everything just works seamlessly and very well together. A15, if it was fast before, it's probably going to be fast still. Like I said, I'm still rocking a device that's 4 years old, and I really don't have too many issues with slowdown or anything like that. The one thing I will say that is good that most people will look at is a huge leap in battery life. So that's a good thing that they're getting more life out of these batteries. You only have so much space within a phone, and unfortunately, battery technology is just not advancing as much as it should. Hopefully they get that together at some point, but I think they're advertising somewhere between an extra hour and a half to 2 hours of battery life. If you are a power user like myself, then that may just entice you to upgrade, but once again, it's not really a huge new feature. And then when we look at the way that it's designed, I mean, outside of changing the camera bump on the back and situating them diagonally, looks the same as an iPhone 12. Apple every so often will make these small design changes that from the outside a person can look and say, oh, okay, that's a different iPhone. But from the front, they all still look the same. They all still have this notch that I've never really been a fan of. And it sounds like Apple may be removing the notch next year on the iPhone 14. So design wise, I don't really feel like there's anything new with the iPhone 13 that wasn't available on the 12. In fact, when I use my iPhone 10, the experience is pretty much the same as using the iPhone 13 because Apple does a very good job of supporting their devices for longer periods of time. So there's not as many new features that are exclusive to a newer iPhone that you can't get on one that's probably 3, 4, or even 5 years old. So I don't really know what to tell Apple about that one because what they have works. I mean, people still buy new iPhones, but at the same time, because they do a good job of supporting devices for so long, it becomes harder to rationalize upgrading unless there's something brand new or fresh that gets you excited all about it. And the iPhone 13 just doesn't do that. So those are most of the things that come with the iPhone 13. And I want everybody to understand, I'm not saying that the iPhone 13 looks like a bad phone in any way, shape, or form. I think that phone is probably an amazing device, but you get pretty much the same experience even with an older iPhone, with the exception of the camera and the battery life. In essence, if you have an iPhone 8, or if you're like me and you have an iPhone 10 and you really want to upgrade that camera, by all means, go ahead, get an iPhone 13. But if you're in the camp of a person who has an 11 or a 12, maybe sit this one out and wait for the iPhone 14, where there's going to be hopefully big adjustments in the coming future. But that's it for today's video. Let me know down in the comments, do you agree with any of the things that I said? Do you disagree? Let's have a discussion about it. If this is your first time here, please subscribe to the channel as I talk everything tech and lifestyle. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Till then, everybody take care. Peace.